Hey everyone, welcome to the feature branch. And today we're going to be talking about the GitHub Copilot CLI and their new terminal interface that went GA earlier this week. Now, this is the new interface, or the 2E as I've been hearing it recently called, which is the terminal user interface. But this is something that, the intent is not to, create some elaborate UI on top of GitHub Copilot CLI, but really it's to kind of add a few little additional interfaces so that you can stay in the flow, right? GitHub Copilot CLI is fantastic when you're writing code or working on your project, but there aren't a lot of easy ways to tie back to like your issues and pull requests, etc. And I think this is where that helps. There are also some other UI changes that just make things a bit easier. So some things are just honestly easier visually versus seeing it in text form. And so I'll be showing that in a little bit as well. So why don't we get started? I'm going to jump straight into it. Here is what it looks like, just like the image. And the main things that you want to check out first are the tabs, which if you're using the CLI already, these might have popped up already and you might have already seen these. If you haven't, feel free to check it out. And this is a new way to use the interface. So here, literally are tabs. So I can actually click through, as you can see, and there are issues, pull requests, gists, and then of course the session that you were in. You can always, of course, tab through or shift tab to go back as well. And these are all clickable, or I can, of course, use the keyboard as well. Down here, you'll see that there are a lot of options. Slash will allow me to actually search through things if I wanted to search for something like, for example, miles. O will actually just open it in a browser. So in this case, it'll open up the GitHub issue in your browser. C actually puts it in chat, but it doesn't pull the context. It just references the ticket. So this is something that you can, of course, already do. So if I'm already working in my session, I can do a hashtag, and I can look at all the ticket numbers, or if I knew the one that I wanted right away, right? 17, it shows it's a PR. I think 6 was the one earlier, which is an open issue. So these are things that I could have done already by referencing the ticket. It would, of course, grab that context afterwards, but it doesn't pull it initially. Next is the A button, which will toggle either all or everything that is involving with me, which is helpful if you need to filter some things. The other thing that I like using this feature right here, the all or the A toggle, is that it doesn't the page doesn't automatically refresh. And so something that I notice is that, hey, if you think that an issue was closed or PR was closed, or maybe even new ones being created, it wouldn't show up right away. But if I toggle this back, you'll see that it actually pulls and tries to refresh that data. So that's what I've been using that for as well. Pull requests, exact same thing. Search, you can open it up to look at some more details. If you press enter, it'll load things up, just like we have for the issues. Very similar there. And then, of course, being able to open up the PR in the browser, referencing in the chat, A to toggle for all or just myself. And then lastly, there are gists as well that you can do the same thing. So that is, at a high level, the tabbed interface that you'll see right away. Now, if you do open this in VS Code, exact same thing, you'll get these features here as well if you're opening it in a terminal within VS Code, I should clarify. So those are all the main ones that you'll probably see right away. There are a couple of other ones that I want to highlight that are a little bit more behind the scenes. So for example, if I do /MCP, I can actually see the MCP list here, and I can actually add, delete, etc., show which ones are actually in there, right? What tools they have, etc. The other thing that I really like is that I can search for other MCP tools. Now, in case you're not familiar, so GitHub actually has an MCP registry already. As you can see here, here's a list of 110 MCP servers. You can check out how many stars, the repos, etc. There is an easy button to install for VS Code and VS Code Insiders. However, there isn't a way to, at least from here, to see that for the CLI. However, what I can do is, and I'm going to use Playwright as an example, I can do /MCP search and then look for the look for the MCP server that I'm looking for. In this case, Playwright. And it'll do, okay, I'm looking for it. Cool, you found Playwright. I can press enter to configure. If there are any settings, which in this case there aren't, a UI would have shown up where I can enter maybe API keys if required, and then install from there. In this case, MCP should show Playwright now, and we have that installed. So very easy way of, searching and installing MCP servers from the GitHub MCP registry. So that's for the MCP. We have something very similar for skills. Skills, if I do that, I can actually toggle through, enter to enable or disable skills as well. You still can, of course, search through the marketplace, but I believe that one feels fairly much the same. The last thing I want to go over is actually settings. So settings now has this nice list of settings that you can go through. Now it is fairly long, so of course the search is very useful in this case. The other thing that I like to mention is that you can also do a Control E and open up an editor. So that will be the settings.json file that you see here, and this will allow you to, if you want to update multiple things. One word, let me pin this to the side. One word of caution though, if you do update the settings.json manually here, that's okay, but you have to restart GitHub Copilot for it to take effect. I find that if I actually make the changes in here, it already auto loads it. So one other setting that I want to show you is, and I'm going to search for tab. Everything that I showed you in the very beginning with the tabs, the new UI, you can actually enable or disable or sort and hide, as you can see here. So just in case you're not a fan of those features, that is something that you can just completely disable. Now, I'm just going to do the hide one for now. You can add an item, and I can do, like, let's say I don't want to see gists. I can do that, and as you can see, this has been updated. If I escape again, you don't see gists here. One last thing I want to note, if you haven't seen anything at all, it is, or if you don't see issues in pull requests at all, it is possible that it is due to not having a GitHub repo. So this is the one that I was working on so far during this demo. It is my Milefolio repo, the one that I've been demoing throughout this channel. And this is just my home directory. As you can see, it's just my home directory here, no GitHub repo there. And so here is just sessions and gists because there's no GitHub repo, there's no issues, there's no PRs to reference. So just to make notes in case you're not seeing what you're expecting to see. All right, so that is all of the UI changes in a nutshell. Let me know in the comments if you've tested it out or what do you think of it so far. And as always, if you're interested in checking out new GitHub Copilot, features as they drop, please subscribe. Thanks, everyone.